Hey everyone, and welcome back to Daily Tuition. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can convert this one-page website template from light to this dark mode. We are going to create two different modes for this web page, light and dark. I'm going to show you how you can convert this light mode into dark using CSS. So let's get started and see how to do it. So I'm going to open the VS Code editor and I'm going to toggle the window on the right side. Here, I have an empty folder. Inside this folder, I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to name this file index.html. Then I'm going to create style.css file. In the index.html, I'm going to first create the exclamation mark and press tab to create a simple HTML5 snippet, something like this. Then I'm going to change this title to modes and link the style.css file using link tag. Just out of that, inside this body, here I'm going to create a container. Inside this container, I'm going to put all this code. So inside this container, here I'm going to first create h1 heading tag and then specify title here, one page website template. Now, because we have the template string on the next line, let's add here a break statement like this. And now let's execute this file. So I'm going to right click here and say open with live server. I already have live server installed in my VS Code. So I'm going to open my index.html in the live server. You can see here. Now just out of that, to this h1 heading tag, I'm going to specify some classes. So I'm going to first specify here text center to center this text, to align this text center. And then I'm going to specify primary dark. So this will specify text color to this h1 heading tag. Just out of this h1, I'm going to create a span tag. And I'm going to specify name to this span tag. We are team of designer. So I'm going to specify this text here, and then I'm going to specify class here, which is going to be secondary dark. That's it. Save this file. So we have the span tag here. Just out of this span tag, just down here, I'm going to add here input, and this is a type of checkbox. Now you can notice here in my finished website, I have here a toggle button. I'm using a checkbox here to create this beautiful toggle button. So I'm going to add here a checkbox. So I'm going to add input type checkbox, and the ID is going to be mode. Using this ID, we can easily access this input text box. Just out of this input text box, I'm going to create grid system. So I'm going to add here grid. Then I'm going to add my first grid item, something like this. To this first grid item, I'm going to specify bg light class to specify background color to this first grid item. Inside this first grid item, here I'm going to create my flex. So I'm going to say here flex, and inside this I'm going to add icon. You can notice in my finished website I have a type of grid, and inside this grid I have this icon, title and a description. So let's create this. So inside this icon I'm going to put this fingerprint icon. So I'm going to add here a span tag, and inside this I'm going to say fingerprint. When I save the changes, back to my website, I'm going to get just a title, fingerprint. Now what I want to add fingerprint icon in my project. So I'm going to open a new tab in my browser, and here I'm going to search for material icons. I'm going to search for material.io, and right from here, I'm going to grab these icons. So I'm going to click on this git repo, copy this link tag and paste it before this style.css, just like this. Save the changes, back to your website, and just down here you need to add a class called material icons, something like this. When you save the changes, you can see you're going to have this icon in your website. Just out of that, just out of this div right down here, I'm going to add h2 heading tag, and I'm going to specify title here, fingerprint scanner. That's upon you. You can specify any title. That's completely fine. Then I'm going to specify class here, primary dark. Keep in mind, I'm using this class to specify text color to the HTML element. Just out of that, here I'm going to add a paragraph, and inside this paragraph, I'm going to grab this code and put that here like this. And then I'm going to specify here class secondary dark. That's it. Save the changes. So this is my first grid item. Just out of that, I'm going to minimize this item, my first grid item, copy it and paste it something like this. And instead of this fingerprint icon, I'm going to put here dashboard. So this will add dashboard icon. You can notice. And then I'm going to change this title. And here I'm going to put grade system. Save the changes. This will create my second grade item. Let's copy it, paste that again, and then change this title. And this time I'm going to specify icon here, done all. So this will add this icon, and I'm going to change this title to everything ready. Save the changes. This is how we can create this simple web page using just an HTML. Now let's add style to this web page and add two different modes to it. So we're going to back to the style.css. Right here, I'm going to first add the font family. You just have to back to the font.google.com, the previous icon website, and click on the browse fonts. Right from here, you can choose Poppins font, and I'm going to select the regular 400 style and import this link inside my project, inside this style.css file. Something like this. And just out of that, I'm going to specify this font family to all my elements. So I'm going to first select all the elements and select all the descendant HTML elements, and then specify here font family Poppins, as well as I'm going to specify cursive fallback value. Save the changes, and as you can see, I'm going to have this Poppins font family to my text. Now just out of that, let's create some variables. So just down here, I'm going to select the body, and inside body, I'm going to create few CSS variables. So to create CSS variable, just pass 2 dashes, then specify the name text light. So this will create a CSS variable with the name text light, and then I'm going to specify RGB A color here. And inside this RGB A color, I'm going to specify different values like this. Just out of that, I'm going to create the primary dark color as well. So I'm going to create a variable called primary dark, and then specify here RGB A color. And inside this RGB A color, I'm going to specify value to create dark color. So this variable is going to allow us to access the dark color. Just out of that, let me create 3 more variables inside this body. Something like this. So we have a secondary dark, BG light, and BG BTN. So once we have all these variables, just after that, inside this body, let me first specify the background color. So let me first specify here CSS style to this body. So let's create here background color, which is going to be the light color. So I'm going to specify here var, the function name, and then to access the variable, you need to add the variable name. So I'm going to say here text light. Using var function, we can access the CSS variable. Save the changes. So this will add light color to this background. Just for that, let me remove margin from the paragraph. I'm going to select all the paragraph and remove margin. Just down here, I'm going to select my container, something like this. And to this container, I'm going to specify display flex, then specify flex direction, which is going to be column, justify content center, and align items center. So this will just center all the content. Just out of that, I'm going to specify here margin 0. So this will remove all the margin from this container. Just out of that, let me create text center class to center all the text. So this is going to specify text align center. So using just this global text center class, we can align all the text to the center. So we already have this class to my HTML element. You can notice here. Now, just out of that, let's create a grade. So I'm going to create here a class called grade, and then I'm going to specify here display grade. Then I'm going to specify grade template columns, and I'm going to repeat only one column. Mean max is going to be auto 320 pixel. So the maximum size of the column is 320 pixel. Save the changes. So this will just specify the maximum size to the grid item. Just out of that, I'm going to specify row gap. Row gap is going to be 2 em, and column gap is going to be 3 em. As well as I'm going to specify top margin, some top and bottom margin. So I'm going to add margin 3 em to the top and bottom, like this. Just down here, I'm going to select the flex class, this one, or I can simply specify here grid flex. So inside this flex, I'm going to specify display flex. Flex direction is going to be column, and align items is going to be center. So this will center all the text. Just out of that, I'm going to specify here padding. Padding is going to be 4 EM to the top and bottom, and 0 for the left and right. Save the changes. Just out of that, once we have padding, let's select the icons. So I'm going to select the grid first, and inside that we have icon, the icon class, and inside that we have the span tag. Let's select that. So I'm going to select this span tag of this icon division tag. I'm going to select this and then specify here font size 4 EM. This will increase the font size of the icons. And then I'm going to specify here color, which is going to be BG BTN. Just out of that, let me create some global classes. So I'm going to create here primary dark. So I'm going to specify here color primary dark. Then let me create here secondary dark color. So I'm going to say here secondary dark color is going to be secondary dark, something like this. Save the changes. Just out of that, I'm going to specify here BG light. We already have this BG light class to the element, so I'm going to say here BG light, then specify background color is going to be BG light. So using this BG light class, we can specify this BG light color to the HTML element. Then I'm going to specify here box shadow. Box shadow is going to be 1 pixel, 5 pixel, and then I'm going to add here RGB A color, like this. Save the changes. So this will add box shadow to this grid item. Just for that, let me center this paragraph. You can notice here, this paragraph we have secondary dark color. If I specify here text center, then I'm going to have my paragraph to the center. So let's add this text center to this paragraph. So I'm going to add this text center class to all these items, something like this. Now just for that, at the end, let's create this toggle button. I'm going to grab the toggle button code from CodePen. So I'm going to put a link here so you can easily see and grab the code from the CodePen website. So just click on this link and grab the toggle button code from this CodePen website. So what we are going to do is, we're going to first select the input tag of the type checkbox. And to this input tag, I'm going to specify position, relative, width is going to be 80 pixel, height is going to be 40 pixel, and then I'm going to specify here border radius 50 pixel, and outline is going to be none. Now when I specify background color to this input text box, so if I specify here yellow color, when I save the changes, this will not do anything. It's going to just add width and height. But what I don't want default appearance of this input type checkbox. I want to hide this default checkbox appearance. So to do that, here I'm going to call webkit appearance none. So this is going to remove this checkbox and add all these properties to it. When I save the changes, you can see this will remove that border and add this border radius, outline, width and height, and this background yellow color. Just for that, let's add before content to this input type checkbox. So I'm going to copy this, paste it down here, and now let's add here a pseudo selector called before, something like this. So using this before, I'm going to add content inside this before pseudo selector. So I'm going to first say here content is going to be null. So I'm going to pass double quote here. Then I'm going to specify here position, which is going to be absolute. Then top is going to be 0 and left is going to be 0. Then I'm going to specify here height, which is going to be 40 pixel, and width is going to be 40 pixel. Save these changes, and then I'm going to add here background color is going to be primary dark. When I save the changes, you can see I'm going to have this box inside this yellow checkbox. I'm going to just specify here border radius 50 pixel. Now once we have this toggle button, just down here, what I want, when I click on this toggle button, I want to move this black dot, or you can say this button, to the right side. So to do that, I'm going to grab this input checkbox selector like this and call here an event checked. So this event is only going to happen when we check this checkbox. So when we click on this checkbox, this event is going to happen, and then I'm going to call before pseudo selector, something like this. And what I want to move this before selector to the right side when we click on this checkbox. So I'm going to specify here transform translate 100%. And now when I click on this checkbox, you can see we can easily move this before pseudo selector using this translate property. So what we have done here, we just selected the input checkbox. Then when we click on the checkbox, I'm going to select the before pseudo selector and then specify translate 100 to this selector. Now once you've done that, save the changes. And now instead of this background yellow color, here I can use images. So I'm going to copy image link and specify that here instead of this background color, something like this. So as you can see, I'm going to have here a background image. So let's specify background cover to it. Background size is going to be cover. As you can see, I'm going to have this background image to this toggle button. You can see on the right side here, I want the night mode, and on this left side, I want day mode. So to do that, I can simply say here, input type checkbox :check, and then I'm going to specify background image here. So I'm going to grab the background image code and then specify that here. So I'm going to just simply grab the image URL and specify that to the background image. Don't worry, you can grab all this code from this link. So when we click on this button, this is going to convert this template into dark mode. And when we uncheck it, this is going to convert this template into light mode. Now, once you understand how you can make this beautiful toggle button, let's add light and dark mode to this web page. So when you click on this toggle button, I want to convert this light mode into dark mode. And when you click on this toggle button again, I want to convert the dark mode into the light mode. So to do that, you have to just add a dark class to the body section of your website. So just scroll up, and just after this body, right down here, I'm going to add body again and then add a class called dark. What you have to do is you have to change values of these variables when we add dark class to the body. For example, let's copy this text light variable. And now what I want, when I have dark class to this body, I want to convert this text light into dark color. So I'm going to grab this dark color, this primary dark color, and specify that here. I'm going to override this variable. We're going to convert this previous value with a newer one. So we're going to convert this light value into dark when we add dark class to the body. I'm going to do the same to all these variables. So I'm going to grab this primary dark, put that here, and then I'm going to specify light color to it. So I'm going to grab this light color and specify that here, something like this. And what I want to specify here alpha 1. So I'm going to specify that. So I'm going to do the same to all my variables. So let me create a few variables here, something like this. So you can notice to the secondary dark, I'm going to specify light gray color. You can notice here. Then to the BG light, here we have the gray color, but when I add dark class to the body, I'm going to specify this yellow color to it. So this is how we convert all these variable values into different colors. Now let me save the changes. And now what we need to do is we need to add click event on this checkbox. So when we click on the checkbox, I want to add dark class to the body. So we can convert this light mode into dark. Let's create a new file inside this tutorial. Here I'm going to specify file name index.js. This is going to be the JavaScript file. And inside this file, I'm going to create and access this input checkbox. So to access this, I'm going to grab this mode ID. Make sure you link this script file to the index.html. So before the closing body, I'm going to add here script. In the source, I'm going to specify index.js. Save the changes, back to the index.js. Here I'm going to select the toggle button. So I'm going to say here select toggle button, and then I'm going to say let toggle is equal to document.getElement by ID, and then I'm going to specify here ID mode. So I'm going to select this input checkbox using this ID. Just add that. Just down here, I'm going to create on click event. So I'm going to say here toggle dot add event listener, and then I'm going to say here click. So when we click on this toggle button, or you can say when we click on this checkbox, I'm going to call this click event and call callback function here, something like this. If you want, you can create a dedicated function as well. I'm going to create inline callback function, and inside this I'm going to say document dot body dot class list. So this is going to return all the classes, and then I'm going to say dot toggle. In the single quote, I'm going to say dark. So toggle is going to add and remove this dark class from this body element. Let me save the changes and show you the result. Now when I click on this toggle button, you can see I'm going to have the dark mode. Oops, I think I misspelled something. Yeah, right here I used BG light. Instead of BG light, I'm going to use text light. Let me save this, and now you can see my light mode is now converted into dark mode. When I click on the toggle button again, this is going to convert this dark mode into light mode. You can see how easy it is to convert this web page into light and dark mode. You can see the changes over here to this body tag. If you have any question about this video, don't forget to comment me down. If you find anything useful, don't forget to press the like button, share this video with your friends, subscribe for more latest videos. That is all for now. I will see you in the next one.